All right, let's look at your homework for tonight, test 3, lesson 4 on your isosceles triangles. Okay, so using your rules here, remember a couple of things that we know. We know that a triangle interior equals 180 degrees. All right, we know that if the angles are congruent, then the opposite sides are congruent, and vice versa. If the sides are congruent, the angles are congruent. All right, so like right here, I know that angle X and angle Y are the same because they have these little lines on them. So I know that basically 180 minus 110 is going to give me 70. So if these are the same, then 2x is going to equal 70. So x is going to equal 35. And then since they are the same, y is also going to be 35. All right, so here you've got your right angle. So we know that x plus 90 plus 10 is all going to equal 180. Okay, so that gives me x plus 100 is equal to 180. So therefore x would equal 80. And then you can use your little rule here where if these two sides are congruent, then these two angles are congruent to know that y is also going to equal 80. All right, so a couple of figures you have here. You know if all three of these sides are the same, then you know that all three of these angles are the same. Same thing here. All right, so what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look right here. Okay, so I know that 60 plus 90 plus 60 plus n should actually equal 360 because it makes a full circle there. So we're going to subtract 210 and n should have been 150 degrees. All right, so 4, 5, and 6. A couple of things. Let's look at, let's see which one I want to do here. Let's look at 5. Okay, so on 5, right here you have a linear pair. So I know that x is going to equal 180 minus 125. So x is going to equal 55. Okay, then you can also look right here. If these two sides are congruent, then these two angles are congruent. So that makes this 55 and this 55, which is 110. So then for y is going to be 180 minus 110. So y is going to equal to 70. And then right here, if this is 55, that's a linear pair as well. So z is also going to equal 125. Okay, so then we did talk about this in our notes today. It talks about a regular polygon here for W, X, Y, Z, V. Okay, that one right there. Notice those are all 108 degrees. All right, so for instance, you know automatically then that angle Z right here is going to be 108 because of the regular polygon there for a pentagon. Okay, and we talked about those calculations today in your notes. All right, then angle B, it's going to be another B here because of these two sides. So you know that 2B plus 108 is going to equal 180. So you'll solve for B that way. Okay, right here you have a linear vertical angles for Z and A. So you know that A is also going to equal 108. And then if all three sides here are the same, then all three angles have to be the same, which makes angle C to equal 60. So you're just kind of applying everything you know about triangles there. Okay. All right, so you do have to do number 4. All right, if the two sides are congruent here on number 7, you're just going to set that equal to each other, and you're going to solve. So x should equal 6. All right, so let's set up number 8 down here. If these two are the same, so 180 minus 30 is 150. And if you cut 150 in half, then these two angles right here would equal 75 apiece. Okay, so then since all of these are the same, all those are the same, so then C is also 75. That means B is going to be 30 and A is going to be 30 because I can tell, I can subtract there once I know that all of those are 75. All right, right here you should recognize that that's going to make this 30, so that's 60, which makes this whole thing 120, so this side is 60. Now these are vertical, so Z is going to equal to 120. All right, 10 through 15, you're just completing each statement. So you know that, let's find AF. All right, so because these two base angles right here are congruent, then you can tell me that AF is equal to AD, or congruent to AD. And that's basically what you're doing. You're just reading the first piece of information and applying it to the second and so forth. All right, so like CA here is from here to here. So that's just going to be congruent to GA. Okay, and that's what you're doing through that whole entire thing. KI is going to be here. So here's your two angles, so it's KJ. Okay, so you're going to do that for those next three. All right. Okay, and I believe that we're going to use the same figure for the next one. So let me double check that real quick. Yeah, so let me make a copy of that figure real quick for you. Okay, here we go. All right, so using the same figure. All right, so JAB, they're saying that angle JAB, which would be this angle here, is going to be, when they're finding, and angle D is 25. Okay, angle D and angle F are the same for that one, so that's 50. So to find JAB, it's going to be 180 minus 50, which makes angle JAB 130. Okay, same thing for the next one, angle FAL. So FAL is just this part. Okay, and angle D again is 25. So that makes this 25. This is 90, so it'd be 180 minus 25 minus 90, which makes angle FAL equal to 65. Okay, so every time you know that this right here is 25. So you're just using that to solve the remaining ones. So JKI is going to be here, and you're going to see these are congruent. So JKI is just 25, and DLA is going to be right here, so that makes your 90 degrees. Okay, so 20 through 22, the last three that you have. All right, so the first thing I'm going to see is I'm going to see that these two lines right here are congruent, so that makes this 55. So I'm going to do 180 minus 55 minus 55 to get my x. So x is going to equal 70. Vertical angles right here makes that 70. And since these two are congruent, so 2y plus 70 would equal 180. So 2y equals 110, and y would equal 55. Okay. Let you do 21. First thing I would do on 21 is start with that linear pair right there. Okay. And then 22, these are congruent. So that makes these congruent. If this is 90, that makes y have to be a 45, 45, 90. And then x and y are going to be the same, so x is going to also be 45.